Hi, it's Kathy from the Backyard Stamper, and today I have the cutest little card to show you. It uses a stamp set from Celebration, which is coming up next week, January 4th, and a set from the brand new mini catalog, January through June 2022, which also goes live on January 4th. In case you are unfamiliar with Celebration, it is a sale that Stampin' Up! Does every year, and it's for every $50 of a order before tax and shipping. You can choose a free item out of the brochure. There are several to choose from, and there's stamp sets and designer paper. And then there's also $100 levels too. So lots to pick from. If you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and you'd like a copy of the new mini catalog and Celebration, please let me know. And you can leave a comment on my blog. Okay, let me show you this adorable card that I made. We are going to make, oh my gosh, isn't that cute? As soon as I saw the little car set, which is the Celebration set called Driving By, I had this idea for the card. It uses the Driving By set and the Nuts and Bolts set, which is in the the new mini catalog. And from this set, I use the You Make My Heart Go Beep and the hearts. So let's get started. The supplies that we're using today are Real Red, and this is 8.5 by 4 1/4 scored and folded in the middle. I'm sorry, yeah, 8.5 by 5.5 scored and folded at 4 1/4. And we also need a scrap of Real Red. This is a piece of designer paper, and it measures 4 by 5 1/4. There's a piece of basic white, which is for the inside, and this measures 4 by 5 1/4. A second piece of white, which is 2 by 5, and a piece of basic black, which is 2 1/4 by 5 1/4. A scrap of white, and this little piece for the inside is 3 3/4 by 4. And I just cut that off. So this piece of paper is one of the free papers that called Pattern Party. This is actually available to anyone that hosts a party, and you would purchase it with your Stampin' Rewards. So as long as your order or party is $150 or more, you would be eligible to purchase this. And it's a mega pack. It's got 48 sheets, and it's 12 by 12. So what I did was I cut my 12 by 12 into 3 strips of 4 inches, and then I trimmed off that 3/4, so I can get 6 cards with 0 waste from 1 sheet of designer paper. Okay. We're also going to use the Stitch So Sweetly dies, which are in our annual catalog. These dies are fantastic with the ruffle and the stitching and the shape. Just really, really fantastic dies. Okay, so first we're going to take our red and mount our designer paper to it. We're going to use Stampin' Seal, and the way I like to use this is just an inch or so in each corner and a little bit in the middle. So I am just going to mount that like that, and then we can set that aside. And what I'm going to do next is our stamping on our basic white. Now the stamps that I'm using are the little Volkswagen Bug, but I didn't want the presents on that car. So I took a scrap of Post-it note and put that right on the presents. Then I'm going to use my Memento Black and ink that up. And then, most importantly, be sure you take the Post-it off. And I'm going to stamp it on the right side of my piece of basic white. There. Next, I'm going to take my fancy car. Now, I had the balloons on there, but my little heart that I had cut out didn't quite cover them. You could still see the balloon underneath. So I did some stamp surgery and removed the balloons. But see, I can just set it right back in there and stamp it, and it will be fine after. So I'm going to ink that up with Memento Black. Here's the card for you to watch, to see. And go ahead and stamp that down. And now I'm going to come in with my hearts. Oh, let me put the cover on this here. Oops, sorry. So I'm going to stamp them in Memento ink. And now my balloons are heart-shaped. And I'm going to just color those in quickly with my dark Real Red Stampin' Blend. I have a new Memento pad, and it's very juicy, and sometimes I forget, don't press so hard. And for the third heart, I put a mini glue dot behind, and I'm going to pop that on that last balloon string there. Get it kind of attached there. So now my car has some little red balloons. Now the colors for the cars are Bermuda Bay and Granny Apple Green. And I did just a smidge of Daffodil Delight for the headlight on the bug and our fancy car. And I'm going to do that first so that it doesn't get bled in. Okay, and so the way I like to color with the Stampin' Blends is I go around the outside, and there's many different techniques, but you do what works best for you. There's no right or wrong with this. So I just kind of go over. I did that with the wrong color. Let me redo that. Sorry. I trace the outside with the dark and go over any mid lines there that Stampin' Up has given us to help us. There. Now come in with the light. And I like to use the bullet tip only because I really try to preserve my brush tips, and I find that when you're doing a lot of blending and with circles and such, it's easy to bend the tip. And then, so by using the bullet, I don't have to worry about that. There, that card is almost done. Now we'll do the Volkswagen bug the same way. I'm just going to trace the outside. And the fender, I'm going to make that in this piece of trim here, all dark. And that back little piece too. Okay. Then I'm going to just blend in by doing little circles. And as it dries, the harsher lines will fade, my outline lines. But that's how I used to color as a little kid. I always traced my outside and then colored in. And I think it's funny that I do that now as an adult too with my Stampin' blends. Okay, now for the tires, what I did was I did dark smoky slate. For the center, oops, you know what? I'm going to do the light first. Let me do the light because this little line here is just the light. And that way, if I make a mistake, the black or the darker one will cover it up. So I just went around like that. And now I'm going to take the dark and finish the tire. It's pretty fast coloring. And one more. There. Okay, that's it for my coloring today. Now I'm going to bring my card back in and my piece of black, and I'm going to adhere that down. Okay, and then put this down too. And I think on this one, I'm going to use the glue so I have a little wiggle room, because the black is the same size as my designer paper. So I really want it to go edge to edge of the designer paper. And the row of hearts, I want to have at least 2 rows showing. So I've got the green and the pumpkin pie at the bottom. And put that down, just like that. Then what I did was I took a scrap of white and stamped my "You Make My Heart Go Beep" and cut it out with the second smallest of the Stitch So Sweetly. So I have this here, and I think that looks great. And then I took the scrap of red and I cut it out of the second largest. And I'm going to go ahead and put that down. And we'll do that. And some Stampin' Dimensions to pop that right up. And do, probably only needed 2, but Ooh. All right, and isn't that sweet? Oh my gosh. And to decorate, I just used a couple of the classic matte dots. So I used a little black one there. These classic matte dots will be available in the mini catalog, and I thought I would do the wheel with the little smoky slate one and put those in. Sometimes it's hard to figure out how to use the bigger ones, but this is the perfect use for it. Okay, let me just do the inside real quick. So what I'm going to do is stamp You've Got Style, and I'm going to put that just a smidge to the right of center. And I'm going to come in with my piece of designer paper, and what I like to do is just use my glue there. Bring in my silicone mat just in case. I find by putting it on the white instead of the designer paper, my fingers don't get sticky from handling it. And I'm going to add a few hearts to this with real red. So in the stamp set, the nuts and bolts stamp set, there's 2 hearts. And what I did was I cut them apart. So they come like this, and it's perfect. And what I did was I can put them back together, you know, like you see, but I didn't want my hearts going to the left. I wanted them going to the right, or maybe I'll have some of both. So what I did was I cut them apart, and this bigger one is the one that I used on the front of the car for this here too. That was the other reason I cut them apart, was I wanted a single heart. So now, let me bring in a scrap. You can see how they look. And I'm just gonna move that one a smidge and turn that one a smidge. Oh, perfect. Okay. So now I'm going to stamp. Oh, that's perfect. All right, and I'll go ahead and put this on the inside. Get that out of the way. That's my finished one. And this one. Oh, that's so nice. Now, to finish it off, I am going to use some Wink of Stella. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do in the window area, which kind of finishes that off, and just do the whole car. The brilliant thing about the Wink of Stella is it doesn't make your blends smudge. So you can go right from there over the window. And I'm going to put a little bit on my hearts. And there you have it. I don't know if the camera can pick up on the little bit of glimmer. So that's it. If you like this card, please give me a thumbs up, share. It helps me grow my channel, which has just started. And I'll be back soon with another card. Thanks for watching.